Hi everyone, I'm Zach Reinhart, here to review the new Bossston Cruizing Mania album, Idea. This is the fifth album from post-punky indie rockers Bossston Cruizing Mania, and the follow-up to their 2011 album, Loaded, Low Dead, Raw Dead, which is the album that was my introduction to this band, and is a really great strange post-punk and indie rock project. That album was twisted and weird and kind of dizzying to listen to. It shambled together these brittle guitars and this jittery rhythm section with these almost spoken kind of ranting vocals. They also played a lot with texture and effects and really produced some strange but very interesting and compelling indie rock and post-punk tracks that I still go back to and listen to occasionally to this day. So leading up to this album, as you might expect, I was pretty hyped to see what Bossston Cruizing Mania would concoct on this new album after 6 or 7 years of studio silence. And what I got was certainly not what I was expecting, as this album is almost rebelliously normal. The album starts off with the song Onnatachi, which is a minute and a half long, pretty normal skate punk song. It's upbeat, it has brittle guitars, effective enough production, and a kind of interesting bass line that almost reminds me of like a jazz walking bass line, but put into a punky context. But the song comes and goes rather quickly, and nothing weird happens. And the album continues pretty similarly from there on out, really all the way to the end. The short runtime of Onnatachi is quickly seen to be the norm on this album, with the longest song only reaching up to just shy of 3 minutes, and most of them sitting under 2 minutes. They sit in much of the same sonic territory for a lot of the album, only very rarely breaking from it to do a kind of slower or more contemplative track. Some of these songs have seemingly no structure to them at all, just being one kind of part that is just repeated for a minute and a half and then the song ends. Bakusen Toshitashi ni Kansuru Report would be a good example of that. And then they also have songs that are more structured and have this kind of condensed, pressed down verse-chorus structure. Songs like Real Naline and No Idea are good examples of that. This album almost strikes me as like a Lady Flash project with all the kind of bubbly poppiness ripped away, just leaving this kind of punky core. My favorite parts on this album, however, are when they stray away from a bit of this kind of punky indie rock sound and do something that's a bit more slow and deliberate. Songs like Summertime, Texture, and Lunch, for example, are some of my favorite tracks because they're a bit slower, a bit more contemplative, and they just have a bit of a different emotional tone than a lot of the upbeat, punky songs that populate the majority of this album. This album is very simple and direct, and it is not really hiding anything in the music. The production is very clear and punchy, and everything is kind of laid bare. And the album almost seems to be kind of laughing at me for expecting something to be a bit crazier or a bit more out there. And I find that kind of compelling, the way that the album takes this kind of bar of expectations that I had coming into it and just kind of throws it off to the ground and says, you don't need that. It's irrelevant. But even though I can kind of appreciate this album's kind of, to touch on the same term again, kind of rebellious normalness, I do find it loses my attention a little bit towards the latter half of the album. With a lot of the kind of texture and sonic qualities and songwriting being really similar throughout most of the songs here. I find it drags on a little bit, and usually by like track 10 to 12, I'm kind of moving on in my head and kind of thinking about other things and not really staying quite as drawn into the album. So at the end, I guess I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Overall, it's a solid album. There's no bad songs on here by any means. And I imagine that a lot of this music would be a lot more kind of visceral and engaging in a live setting. But some of it, especially the really more energetic, punky parts, don't translate super well onto a record for me here. And I'm left kind of feeling middling about it. I think I'm feeling a 6.5 on this new Bossston Cruizing Mania album. It is a solid album, and there's some good stuff here for sure, but the album on a whole starts to lose me towards the end, and the songs start to blur together a little bit because of how kind of sonically similar a lot of them are. But that's me. This is the new Bossston Cruizing Mania album. It's called Idea, and I guess let me know what you think in the comments if you like this album or similarly found it to be kind of okay. And I'll see you guys next week for another review. Peace.